Hello, 'tis I, Fat Cow. Before I continue, some really important news for anybody living in the UK. Go to Tesco's. Giant squishmallows are currently 12 effing quid. This is the Golden Dragon. Also, unrelated news, my mother got me a gift for Mother's Day. She does this every year since I become a mother, so it's not a surprise. She got me this, which in itself is very cute. However, if you unzip its tummy, you will find inside, rather cutely but also rather bizarrely, 4 babbies. 4 babbies. Look! With little tails and everything. My kids have one each and I have the other 2. Anyway, Squishmallows, giant, half price Tesco's currently. Boom. I've been cuddling this all bloody weekend. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. This video is a response to the last live by Chantel. If you watched it, you'll know what I mean. I have made notes. I'm going to address many things. But firstly, she says she got married on a tourist visa and they appealed it. And therefore they got married legally because they won the appeal. No, Foodie, you did not. The only thing you can appeal for if your marriage is refused is against the fact your marriage was refused because your father would not be present or you didn't have a male relative to represent you and give you away. You can appeal that. You cannot appeal to be married on a tourist visa because it is not allowed. In fact, the laws for civil marriage in Kuwait apply to everybody, whether a resident, a national, an expat, a visitor. The rules are the rules. They apply to everybody. You cannot get married without a civil ID and residency, and you cannot get residency and a civil ID unless you're not a effing tourist. You can only get those things if you're married to a Kuwaiti or somebody who has residence in Kuwait, or if you've got a job there. But you can't get married first without these things. You're not legally married, Foodie. It is literally impossible. You may be religiously married, but you're not legally married. Your religious marriage doesn't count for shit in any country that isn't ruled by Islamic law. It's not recognised by any country that doesn't have Islamic law. Just drop the effing subject. We all know you are not legally married. And if you were legally married, let's just say for argument's sake you're legally married, you would by default have to within 10 days apply for a residency. You would get the residency and then you'd have to by law get a civil ID. And with those things you wouldn't have to leave the effing country every 90 days as regular as effing clockwork. None of it can be true. Any of it. Everything contradicts everything else. As long as you keep travelling, we know for a fact you're not legally married. Stay in the country for 60 days in a row. With evidence, of course, don't disappear suddenly. Stay in the country for 60 days in a row, and then we will believe you. Now, there's a lot of talk about saving money for something big in the future. A lot of people are speculating that it is an attempt to get Salah into Canada, for which I say Salah, regardless of what Foodie has told you. She cannot get you into Canada. In order to get somebody into Canada, their savings are not taken into account. No. For a start, if you've been declared bankrupt, you have to be formally discharged from the bankruptcy claim. An authority has to formally discharge you from that, by which I mean you have to have paid off it. Let's just say she manages to pay off the bankruptcy, for argument's sake, $47,000, I believe it is. Foodie, in order to sponsor you on a spousal visa, okay, it does not matter how much she has saved. In fact, she doesn't actually have to have any savings. What she does need, though, is the last 3 tax years as evidence. Her salary, her wages, her earning from the last 3 years. And they have to be of a certain amount. The current amount is $44,000 a year for the last 3 years. Given what went on at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, and the severe lack of any YouTube content to make money, it's going to be a significant amount of years, if any, given how Chantal's channel is currently going, that you'll have 3 full consecutive years of proof of earnings above $44,000. Without that, 3 consecutive years. Consecutive. So you can't skip a year. Last year was bad. This year is going really bad. You're going to have to start from, let's say you recover your channel. You've got 2025, 26 and 27 in their entirety. So you can start applying in 2028 if Chantal makes $44,000 a year. Minimum, because the 44 only applies for last year. It goes up every year. By 2028, Chantal should be making, probably, given how things have increased, $50,000 a year. 3 consecutive years of between $44,000 and $50,000 a year, and for 3 consecutive years. even if her channel recovers enough to do that, the earliest Salah Chantal can apply, if these things were met, will be 2028. You've got at least another 3 years of doing exactly what you're doing now, with exactly who you're doing it with. If they survive their very evidently poor health. But Salah, I'll give it to you. If this thing I just mentioned happens and they're not around, then at least you're getting her to save money now that you will get on their demise. So you're not that stupid, are you? You know it's unlikely that the Canada thing will ever happen, but as long as Foodie's saving money, you'll get something at the end of this, won't you? Now some other things. Foodie, do not go on about how important sexual hygiene is, considering you raw dogged it with Nader and got 3 sexually transmitted diseases. You are no authority on sexual hygiene. Additionally, Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia are Middle Eastern. They are part of the Middle East. They also happen to be in North Africa. If you want to get technical, they're also Mediterranean countries because they're on the Mediterranean Sea. So, which is it? They're Middle Eastern, North African and Mediterranean. The removal of body hair is religious, not cultural. It is recommended that a Muslim woman, removes all her body hair in its entirety, not including the hair on her head and her eyebrows and eyelashes, every 40 days. It's religious, not cultural. Okay, if your hair was your hair that was showing under your hijab, when you put it back, it wouldn't have hurt. The fact it hurt is because you've attached the hairpiece with the little hair clip that you use to the very little hair you have on your head, and when you moved it, it pulled and hurt. You would have said ouch twice if that was your actual hair. So pull the other one, love. Eid, this Eid, not the other Eid, the one in June, that Eid is about the slaughter of animals to provide meat for the poor, and is celebrated slightly differently. This particular Eid, the Eid that comes immediately after Ramadan, is not celebrated with lots of money and gold. That really defeats the purpose of the entire Ramadan spirit leading up to it. So it's traditionally celebrated by eating with friends and family and buying new clothes, particularly for the children. It's not about getting an abundance of money and gold. No, it's about new clothes. You're celebrated by giving new clothes, particularly to children. Not money, not gold. You've just eradicated the whole spirit of Ramadan by claiming it's about financial wealth, the celebration that immediately comes afterwards. Oh, I'm going to fast so that I can sympathise with the poor. Oh, now it's over. Let's celebrate by throwing cash at each other. It doesn't make sense. I used to think you were lazy. You know, particularly when it comes to your content and stuff. But I don't think you're lazy anymore, because the amount of effort you put in every day to try and prove your lies to be actual truths is outstanding. You want to dispel the rumour that you're still suffering from hair loss. Therefore, you have made the decision to deliberately wear a hairpiece and to stage the hairpiece that it shows in order to show everybody that in fact your hair is grown back normal. In order to disprove the luggage that everybody saw, that bright blue thing with the black going round it was a square. Props on finding a blue piece of clothing that matched entirely, although the clothing was significantly bigger, wasn't square shaped and didn't have black on it. I mean, the thought process into thinking, well, if I want to make this look like laundry and not the contents of my suitcase, let's bung a sheet on it, is phenomenal. Why don't you put this much effort into actually making content? Me shopping on a day I'm not in the country, and then me eating on a different day from the shopping I did that I was actually done on the day 2 days before. The effort you put in to try and prove your lies to be truths can be significantly better directed elsewhere. You must sit there for hours trying to figure out how to trick us, and still you fuck up. It's incredible. I'm kind of impressed. I'm impressed by the effort, and at the same time totally insulted about how stupid you think we are. It's a thing. And finally, you say that you're protected by God, which I am not going to try and argue about, because I am not an authority on how you are viewed by your chosen higher power. But you say people have put spells on you, and people have put hexes on you, and people have even done voodoo. Now, I hope you don't think it's me who's done the voodoo. I just make dolls that look very, very similar to you. I'm as much a practitioner as voodoo as every person that has worked on spitting image is a practitioner of voodoo, or that channel that makes puppets, and you being one of them, or Zachary and Michael and the paper bag you. This is as much as I'm involved with voodoo on you. Make of that what you will. But, and this goes to everybody, consider it just information, factual information, as much as just reading about, cryptids, or reading actual legitimate, genuine history, whatever. I'm not trying to tell anybody that it is a thing that is true or it's a thing that is false. It's a thing that is believed. I don't expect any of you to believe it either. I'm just giving you information. If I was to practice voodoo on Foodie, I wouldn't need to make a doll that looks like Foodie. I could make a doll that looks like a gingerbread man. It's just got to look human. What I would need, however, is a way for that doll to be identifiable to the spirits as Foodie. Now, in order to make it effective, the best things I could get would be personal items from Foodie, or some of their hair, a piece of jewellery they wear, an item of clothing, or a piece of cloth from an item of clothing that they wear. And that way, by attaching it to the doll, it would make the spirits aware that my intentions are aimed at this person. They can link. The very, very bare minimum, and this, if you were to believe, is quite unreliable, but it's the best you can do given the circumstances that we're not in the same bloody country. I've never met you, I'm never going to meet you, and the likelihood of me getting my hands on anything that you've touched, let alone own, is zero. I could write your name on a piece of paper and attach it to the doll. I wouldn't need to go to the effort to make the doll look like you. I make the dolls because people ask me to make them. And what they do with them is none of my effing business. You see, it is a misconception that people who consider themselves to be, how can I put this as simply as possible, more of a witchy demeanour, let's say, are nasty, vindictive, evil people that only want to use their abilities, let's say, to cause harm or mischief. Again, this is just information purposes only. It's something to add to your list of trivia. The same as I know the average gestation of a hippopotamus is about 168 days, which was something I read when I was in school and refuses to leave my brain box. People who consider themselves more on the witchy side of spirituality have rules they follow. They have an oath, in fact, as a rule. And that oath is, do what you want, but cause no harm. Basically, be your own person, do what you will, enjoy yourself, make hay when the sun shines, blah blah blah, but don't do anything that would cause any level of harm or discomfort or unhappiness on any other living thing. That doesn't sound like the kind of thing where somebody would put a hex on you, for example. You don't want somebody to come near you. You want them to not have any dealings with them whatsoever. You don't wish them a broken leg so they can't move about. You don't wish them to not be around at all, because that's directing something harmful at them. What you would do is to wish yourself protected from them. So indirectly you're removing, if you believe, their ability to approach you, not by harming them, but by protecting yourself, if that makes any sense. Any witch worth their salt would not wish harm on another person or another living thing. It's energy, you see, it's energy. What you put out in the world, what you wish on other people, comes back to you. It's something that if you believe, you don't F about with. Much like, Amber pulling oracle cards for other people. If you don't have the intention behind it, if there's any ill thought in your head when you are doing these things, it will come back to you. And that's not a belief, that's just, a thing witches believe. It's called karma, and a lot of people believe it. And if you're going to go, this all sounds like mumbo jumbo, fine. Again, this is just information that I happen to know that I'm passing on for informational purposes. Kind of guessed some people might find it interesting. But when it comes to energy, please just consider this. Whether you think there is some validity in what I'm saying, or you think it's complete and utter tosh, is down to you. But think for a second about energy. There are some people you will come across in your life that you will dislike or feel uncomfortable around for no reason that you can see whatsoever. They could be saying the right things, doing the right things, but regardless, you feel uncomfortable around them. There are some people that the moment they enter a room, the mood changes, whether it's for the better or for the worse. That is energy, and we all have it. Some people make things better, some people make things worse. Some people, for whatever reason, will scare the shit out of you, and they've done nothing, said nothing, they've not even looked at you, and they don't look a particular way, they haven't got horns and pointy teeth, they just scare you. Some people just intimidate you just for existing. This is energy. So whether you think anything I've said has any validity or not, you cannot deny that we have energy. Anyway, I only bring this up because Foodie is claiming people have put spells on her and done voodoo, and I know I'm not the one that's done the voodoo. I just make dolls. Simple as that. I make dolls that look like Foodie and look like Amber. One, because it's a hobby. I make dolls that look like other things too. The development of the dolls that look like Foodie and Amber are because people have actually asked for them. I wouldn't be making them now if people didn't want them and ask me for them, because quite frankly there's loads of other stuff I could be making and other people I could be doing, or animals even, could give that a go. And that's why I'm talking about what I was talking about, is because Foodie claims people are doing things like this, and I just want to say that anybody who is wishing ill will on Foodie using those various methods may not be particularly ethically inclined when it comes to these things. And if you believe in any of this, you know they, not Foodie, but the people doing it, are playing with fire. And Amber, do not pull cards for other people until you legitimately know what you're doing and what you're playing with. Yes, I deviated. Anyway, have a really good day, everybody.